Spoke to the police about the cash in transit robberies and whether or not they have the situation under control. And while we continue to see, of course, videos trending on social media, there are concerns not only from the cash in transit perspectives, but also the dangers that civilians may be exposed to. Let's now speak to IRS Forensic Investigator CEO Chad Thomas. Chad, thank you so much for your time this evening. Firstly, it does look like these criminals are, trying out newer methods all the time as we see these different videos. Do police have the situation under control from where you are looking?
Unfortunately not. We're seeing a 30% increase year on year in respect of cash in transit heists. We did see when the crime intelligence components of the police were engaged to assist with cash in transit heist intelligence gathering that there was a slight reduction and there were certain members of well-known cash in transit heist syndicates taken down. The problem is that it's an ever-increasing crime, and there's a lot of copycat syndicates out there that see how easy it is by seeing it on social media, by seeing how successful these syndicates have been in the past. But of course, you mentioned something very important, and that's the dangers to civilians. It's all fair and well that we say cash in transit companies are equipped and the police should be responding, but the way in which the public are responding by running to these scenes where there could be unexploded devices, there could be delayed explosives, they could be caught in the crossfire simply because they want to be a part of the action and they also want to try and monetize it for themselves by picking up money that's been left behind. This poses an immense danger for members of the public.
And let's talk about that very aspect, because sometimes, as we saw on the M12 just recently, motorists are unsuspecting, they're driving and this situation unfolds all of a sudden before their eyes. What do I do then as a motorist in that situation?
There's so many variables. It's very difficult to say what somebody can do because you don't know if the road is barricaded. You don't know if there's more explosive devices set to go off. And you don't know if perhaps the authorities or other security companies arrive on the scene and you get caught in the crossfire. So the best thing to do is if you can't turn your vehicle around or you can't reverse away from the scene, is to just duck down in your vehicle and wait for the authorities to arrive. You cannot be a hero. You cannot jump out of your vehicle. And if you cannot turn around, you have to just make sure that yourself and your passengers are safe.
And we saw with the M12 one, for example, a woman being used as a human shield in order to, try and help them get away into Soweto. So what happens then in that particular regard as you are ducking? How do you protect yourself, if at all, from being used as a human shield?
Well, there is a terrible escalation in all of this. We've seen, sadly, how cash in transit security members have been killed and lost their lives. We've seen how police have been caught up in the crossfire, and we've also heard of civilians being hurt. The fact that human shields are now being used just goes to show how callous our criminals are in South Africa. But the fact that people are running towards the scene and not protecting themselves just shows how numb we are towards criminality in South Africa. There's no right or wrong answer what to do in that respect. You have to comply with somebody that's armed. You can't be a hero. You can't somehow take down that offender. You just have to hope that he will release you sooner than later and that help may arrive on the scene.
And Chad, there's something else, a view even shared by the Gauteng Premier talking about these security companies going cashless and talking about retailers also looking at the option of going cashless. From where you're looking as someone who's been watching these particular CIT robberies, is this even a possibility or something that might help?
It's not viable at this point in time. It's perhaps a long-term solution that will take away a lot of other issues involving cash transactions and fraud that takes place, not just CITs. The problem is we have a massive informal economy in South Africa. And can you imagine trying to get the informal economy to go cashless? It's a pipe dream. It's something that perhaps could happen in the long term, and there can be certain introductions to this on the way forward, but it's definitely not a solution to this particular problem. This particular problem needs to have crime intelligence more capacitated because they are trying, and with their limited resources, they have had some successes in breaking the backs of syndicates. It also means that visible policing needs to work in conjunction with crime intelligence so that they can be deployed to various hotspots.
All right, Chad, thank you so much for that. Do appreciate those safety precautions that you've shared with us. That was IRS Forensic Investigations CEO Chad Thomas.